it's a perfect time to introduce an entirely new generation to what is the very first generation of games. Well, we've been dreaming it up pretty much since I came on board, because I'm a big avid retro gamer, and getting old cartridges and old content to work on modern televisions is a huge pain. Either you have to get upscalers, or you use CRT televisions, and then you have you have to work, solder on composite cables. So it was a decision we made early, and then it was really about finding the right partner and the right way to initiate the project. I think now's a great time, because many of the other products, whether it's Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Genesis, there are ways to access that content and play it. But if you have old Atari 2600 carts, unless you do want to get an old CRT television and solder on some new components, it's almost impossible to get it working in this day and age. And I think that means that there's an entire generation of video games that are lost. And so, that's why it's a perfect time to introduce an entirely new generation to what is the very first generation of games. Out of the box, it is the base console, which plays 2600 and 7800 games. So it's modeled after the original 2600, a little bit smaller, but it has the functionality of the 7800, which could play 78 and had backwards compatibility for the 2600. 10-in-1 game cartridge as well, and in a really cool retro design choice, you actually select the games through this analog switcher here on the back. And so as you move these around, that will allow you to pick which game you're going to be playing of the 10. And there's a little cheat sheet right there on which one you want to play. The level of memory in the console wouldn't allow for that. So the way we got around that is by developing these analog switches on the back. Same with the 4-in-1, has a similar switch system. That also comes with paddle controllers. So that's, that's Canyon Bomber, Video Olympics, which is Kong, Night Driver, Breakout. And then you can use it with other 2600 games as well. So any other iconic paddle controller that you may want to use it for. I think there's a place for both of them, right? So mini consoles are amazing because you can plug them in, play them. They work great on HD televisions. However, you're also limited to the amount of games that come with it. And so it's our belief that there's actually two different consumers for those projects. And then we do create mini consoles, and those will be in the other options for consumers. But this is really for people who have a stack of 20 Atari games that they had when they were a kid, or anyone who's into collecting games, or really anyone who just likes physical medium and owns vinyl records, things like that. So it was a desire to be able to allow people to access that wanted to play it in less of a set-top box and more of a bespoke way. Even the switches have that strong tactile feel towards it, moving between color, black and white, on, off, game reset. Just feels good. Feels like the original. The original console's pretty well scoped out, because it's one of those iconic consoles that has been analyzed, and we have all the designs. So we started there, then kind of said, well, what size? The original is also really big, like bigger than people would probably want in a modern console today. So we trimmed it back a little bit. But then what are the iconic features that people do associate with the Atari 2600? Wood paneling and things. Yeah, exactly. My deep exposure to Atari was the first PC we got came packaged with Missile Command and Asteroids and Tempest and Centipede and Breakout. And I just remember playing those games and really falling in love with those and realizing how classic they were. Just that first, there's no story. You don't need to know why you're shooting the centipedes. You're just in there shooting centipedes, trying to beat your personal best. And I played for hours. And I think that really served my love of it. As time went on, I did get a chance to go back and play a lot of the older games. Berserk being one of my all-time favorites. And the new one says Enhanced Edition. It actually has the voice from the arcade, so it has the 2600 will be able to have some speech, which is a rarity for 2600, and diagonal shots. So some nice little upgrades for the new Berserk that's coming out as well. So the pre-orders will be live until it starts shipping in November, and then it'll be available in most retail outlets and online after that. One of the important things to note though is this isn't a, hey, we're going to ship the console, it's going to be on the market and we're done. We really view this as a living ecosystem. So Mr. Run and Jump, which is also plugged in right now, is a brand new Atari 2600 game. We actually released a modern game for the PS5, Switch, Xbox, based on this, but this was a new 2600 game built in assembly that we just loved and we thought it was fantastic. So the desire is to continue to release new content, really treat this as a living ecosystem, find the best game makers and bring that and feature that in a meaningful way. So yeah, this is the start of hopefully the expansion of the classic Atari ecosystem. And I think all older consoles are actually like that. We think of them as just set consoles that had a lifespan. But I mean, people are constantly developing games for the Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Genesis and GBA. Even the Jaguar has a really vibrant homebrew community. And so yeah, it's a desire to support those things and to allow those things to have longer lifespans.